Pacers lose to the Cavs. Another game where they're leading in the fourth quarter. Another game where they cannot walk away with a win. A trend. This one felt better in a lot of ways for the Pacers and worse in a lot of ways for the Pacers. How does this keep happening? And oh, by the way, they've lost a franchise record 13 times in a row. We'll break it all down today on the Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes and Circle City Spin, and today, the Pacers are up 9 after 3 quarters. Things look good. The offense is nice. The center rotation is working. It's a lead. They didn't blow in the second quarter. All right, maybe this will be Rick Carlisle's 1,000th win. The losing streak will end. And as they've shown themselves to do many times of late, they fall flat on their face for 8 minutes in the middle of the fourth quarter. They go from up 9 to down 7, and they lose their 13th game in a row, a franchise record. How on earth does this keep happening? Why was this both the most and least encouraging of their fall flat fourth quarters? Young guys were actually good. How about that? Some center answers, perhaps, as Jay Huff starts again for good reasons and plays quite well. Lots of interesting stuff to get to from this game. Look, I put it after the game off to the side of my notes that this fourth quarter felt like two things: the best blown lead that they've had and the worst blown lead that they've had at the same time. What I mean by that is it kind of depends on the perspective of the shots that you watched. If you watched all of them, you might, for example, remember the very first possession of the fourth quarter. The Pacers are up 9. How can they hold the momentum? Can they be ahead by a lot, by the middle of the quarter? Can they prevent a huge run destroying them this game like it has basically every other game? And so the Cavs miss their first shot. TJ McConnell gets a stop, but the Cavs get the rebound. The shot clock is almost over. And Evan Mobley, after the Pacers stopped the Cavs' first shot, makes a turnaround 13-footer at the shot clock buzzer. And I thought, oh, man, if the Pacers are stopping the first shot and the Cavs are hitting stuff like that, this is going to be a tough night. This is going to be a tough fourth quarter. Can the Pacers get through it? Nope. The start of the fourth quarter was a mess, as it can be. They were up 9, and then Mobley hit that shot, and then Ethan Thompson scores for the Pacers, which is notable because the Pacers, after that Ethan Thompson shot, did not score for about 3 minutes, as the Cavs got a 3 from Sam Merrill here and a cutting layup from Jalen Tyson there, and Evan Mobley threw him again, and then Evan Mobley hits a free throw, and it's a 1-point game. Right? It happens that fast for the Pacers. And so now I had to play them even the rest of the way to win. We all know what happens for the Pacers in these fourth quarters. And so it felt like the worst fourth quarter for the Pacers in that they did some stupid stuff with their layups and their rebounding. They could not make layups at all. And you keep hearing Rick Carlisle, if you listen to post-game press conferences, or you hear me talk about the things he says, talk about how in the Pacers' worst stretches, oftentimes it'll look like their offense is bad, but it's actually kind of their defense bleeding into their offense and vice versa. And missed layups are the perfect example of this. It's the easiest way to describe those touch points. Basically, name a player, doesn't matter. Someone on the Pacers takes a layup and they miss. Now the Cavs get the rebound. So that player who just took the layup is as far as possible on the court, basically, from the other basket that they're defending. And oh, by the way, because they were running towards the rim, probably ran past the basket, they are now behind the play. So it's a 5-on-4. The Pacers themselves, when they're at their best, are very good at this. They will stop a layup and run and notice immediately. So now the Pacers have to get back and get a stop. The Pacers stunk at the rim in the fourth quarter. A basic peek at their shot chart, and you can see it right away. They missed 4, that's 5 shots just inside or outside of the restricted area circle. They went 8 for 21 in the fourth quarter, 1 for 5 from 3. So that's 7 for 16 on twos. A lot of guys missing right at the cup who absolutely can score right at the cup, right? That was brutal. And especially in a game where they were finishing plays pretty well for a lot of the night. The other thing that cost the Pacers in the second half, rebounding. Third time, I would say, in the last 10 or so games, Rockets, Spurs, and this one, where rebounding was huge. Second half rebounds for the Pacers, 9 total rebounds. The Cavs missed 19 shots. The Pacers got 9 rebounds in the second half. The Pacers missed 23 shots in the second half. The Cavs had 21 defensive rebounds. The Pacers had 2 offensive rebounds. So the Cavs take 5 extra shots in the second half, despite having more turnovers by quite a bit. And they had as many offensive rebounds as the Pacers had total rebounds in the second half. So those extra chances matter a lot. And so in some ways, this fourth quarter comeback was a lot of that. The Cavs with a huge lineup, Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, obviously. Naquan Tomlin's a beast on the glass. He didn't even have that many in this game. Craig Porter Jr. is a guard. He got a bunch, right? They were awesome on the glass. And that really hurt the Pacers. I talked about the possession battle, and I got lucky timing that it's been a huge part of the story in Pacers losses since I talked about it twice. And it was again in this game. So on one hand, that might be the worst you feel about a Pacers blown lead because they couldn't make simple shots right at the basket, and their defense kind of fell apart, and the rebounding was awful. And it's just like they just look pathetic and they're floundering around. It's the same stuff that's plagued them every game, and it never feels good to lose the same way. That's something that's been weird about the recent stretches. It doesn't feel like that's been the case, although this game really matches kind of what happened to them against San Antonio. Some insane missed fourth quarter layups. However, the way that you might feel the best about this one as the Pacers is exactly kind of the same thing I'm saying. The process of how they played was pretty good. They generated layups. They got threes that they liked and were making through the first 3 quarters of the game. No one player really shriveled in the fourth quarter. I think a lot of fans were critical of Andrew Nembhard in the fourth quarter, who was not good. To be clear, he was 2 for 5 with 2 turnovers, but that's like the worst it was 2 for 5 with 2 turnovers and 2 assists. All right, most guys, I'm not saying there weren't mistakes. There were obviously mistakes in the fourth quarter. A 5-second call after a timeout in crunch time is embarrassing, but there was a lot of missed shots the Pacers had in that game and all season can make, and the Cavs just hit some nasty stuff. I mean, I just mentioned that Mobley shot to start the quarter, but Darius Garland, if you get a chance or you're capable or you know how to use the internet for highlights, find all 7 of his fourth quarter shots. 3 of them, 2 of them, yeah, okay, Pacers messed up. Darius Garland's really good. There 5 of them, 4 of them, whatever, we're just like, wow. How did he slow down into that floater? How did he hit that pull-up? He didn't even take a 3 on his way to 14 fourth quarter points, saving the Cavs in this game. He was terrific late. Could not be stopped by any Pacer, regardless of who was on him, Nembhard, Naismith, whoever. He was amazing. And sometimes you tip your cap to amazing. And so you see, on one hand, the Pacers go through a blown lead where they did some bad things to themselves. And it's been similar things to what happened in some other bad games of late. And you also see the Cavs doing some hellacious things that they weren't doing throughout the rest of the game, and they lose. This one had to be painful. The connection between both ends of the floor has never been more obvious for the Pacers. Well, as soon as they stop guarding very well, their offense dies. As soon as they stop scoring, their defense dies. And that feedback loop that I talked about since Christmas and used that term feedback loop too many times has never been more obvious for this team. They lost their lead in the fourth quarter and then got it right back. The vibes were high. Andrew Nembhard for 3. Jarris Walker's dunking. How exciting. 11-0 Cavs run. And the Cavs go up 7. I think this is the most shocking. Like, this to me is a shocking thing to say. And I tweeted it and put it on Blue Sky, and it did not get as much like shocked value from other people that I expected. In the last 2 games the Pacers have played, their biggest lead and their biggest deficit has come in the same quarter of both games. That's crazy to me. That means in one quarter, they're giving up a run so big that their low and high point comes in like a 6-minute span. That's crazy. In Orlando, they were up 12 really early in the second quarter and then down whatever. They were down 19, 16. I can't even remember. In the same quarter, 13, I think. It was 63-50. In this game against Cleveland, they were up 9 to start the fourth. And again, at a time in the fourth after Ethan Thompson scored, and then down 7 after that 11-0 run. That was the Cavs' biggest lead of the game. It's remarkable how fast and how dramatically the bottom falls out for the Pacers. And once the bottom's back on, they look good. They outscored the Cavs the rest of the game. They lose by 4. They had chances to tie it. They had the ball down 3, but the Cavs never let them get a 3 up with smart fouling. So it's painful. You play 3 really good quarters, and then you can't make layups. You can't grab the ball. You can't get a 50-50 ball. You can't get a rebound. And it doesn't matter that you play 3 good quarters. You lose the game. 13 in a row. I don't know if congratulations is the right word, but the whiplash is shocking that everybody listening to this, presumably, was alive during the NBA Finals. So you have now seen the highest point in Pacers history and the lowest in terms of losing streak, I guess. Maybe not the lowest in terms of, feel, in the matter of 7 months. It's just unbelievable. And it's completely explainable why they've lost 13 in a row, and yet totally inexplicable as they've gotten healthier and still cannot quite win. They're clearly playing better, right? 3 of their last 4 games, very close. Fourth quarter leads in 3 of their last 4 games. The close Doesn't matter. They have to win a game, and they can't do it. Their schedule is about to ease up. Not a lot, just a little. Charlotte, Miami, Boston's really good. Toronto, New Orleans, Detroit's really good. Philly, Boston's really good. That's their next games until January 21st. They've got to be able to win one of those, I would think. They're playing better, but they can't. They just can't. Alas, bad fourth quarter. Okay, a lot of good stuff did happen in this game. That's what made their loss even more painful. Jay Huff, Jarris Walker, Johnny Furphy, a lot of young guy pop in this game. And where's this going as the Pacers have lost 13 in a row? We'll get to all that, coming up here on Locked On Pacers. But first, everybody, let me talk to you about FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season. FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the game tips off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts from 6 to 7:30 Eastern on Fridays. It's appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. You open the FanDuel app during Happy Hour. There's always something new that you can look at, boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. The timing is perfect. It's right before the games, right before the weekend starts. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. We are back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making this your first listen to Dan every single day. Make Locked On Cavs your second listen. They're playing a little better of late. They didn't even need Donovan Mitchell to win this one. Danny Cunningham, who got Harry and Aziz with me for lunch, will tell you all about the Cavs side of things on Locked On Cavs. They're not playing great, but they're playing better. Good for the Cavs. Maybe this Darius Garland game can be a spark for him because he's had a very weird year. That dude was fighting through some back pain. His fourth quarter, I thought he was about to be like done for the night, and then he carried the Cavs to victory. There were some signs early that I thought this game was about to be like a really nice performance for the Pacers. Evan Mobley had 2 fouls like that. That's good news. Pascal Siakam was going right at him and doing some good things. Really nice start defensively for the Pacers. I said the Pacers' biggest lead was 9. It was. They also had a 9-point lead in the first quarter. Like they jumped all over the Cavs and they didn't blow it in the second quarter with any sort of disaster. Their defense felt way swarmier, I would say. Like that possession that Evan Mobley hit the hellacious shot a couple times in the fourth quarter, honestly. The Pacers defense swarmed, looked really good, and the Cavs just scored over. It was a fun first half. Like good stuff was happening for the Pacers for half the game in a way that hadn't felt that way in a bit, right? They had a depressing moment in the first half against San Antonio and Orlando both times and a lot of other recent games. And a lot of young guy signs or flashes in this game I thought were the big thing that would make the Pacers feel happy. For example, Jarris Walker is making shots. That's great. And that like really great. He made 2 more threes in this game of his 4 attempts. I forget what Chris Teneri said in the second Magic game on the broadcast, something he was like 11 for his last 16. Jarris Walker entered this game at 33% from 3, which is not good, but given where he was early in the season is like a phenomenal, massive level of improvement. I can just find the date. Since Christmas, entering this game, he was 11 for 17 from deep. So that's now 13 for his last 21 threes going in for Jarris Walker. Look, that's going to paper over a lot of anything else. That's 62% from 3 since Christmas. Like, I even said that game he got benched in the second half. He made shots. He had 10 points the first half of that game, but I said that's not like he was worse than that stat line suggests. He's had games like that. This was not one of them. This was a good Jarris Walker game with the stats to match. 10 points. Good. He made 2 threes again and 2 twos. And the 2 twos were the reason that this felt like a better Jarris game. Really nice drives. Really, really nice drives. One led to a dunk. It was very powerful. It was like on the left side, but using the right side of his body and leaning in at the right time. The other one, a nice touch-filled layup. Like that's the kind of combo of power and finesse that it seems like Jarris Walker should be able to have a lot more often, which he hasn't and shouldn't be thought of that way. But that was very encouraging. A steal, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, including maybe my favorite Jarris Walker pass this season to get it threading through 2 defenders and out in front of TJ McConnell to the basket. That had potential to be the Jarris turnover where he makes a read and botches the pass. He nailed it. It was awesome. Right through a tight defense for a basket. And McConnell, of course, finishing the play. That's how he got an assist. I don't want to get ahead of myself. He still has head scratching plays I'm having trouble talking. I had to restart this recording because I messed up the first one, and it's very late. Still has some head-scratching plays every game, every other game, whatever. But his maybe I'm being too made shots pilled, but Jarris Walker has my attention with recent plays, doing better. He also had a good stretch earlier in the season when I wrote about him, and it faded away at one point, right? In like mid-November. I don't think people remember this, right? He was good against Detroit, and then good against the Hornets, and then good in Cleveland, and had 21 against the Pistons again, and then 13 in Toronto. It was like, okay, maybe this is a turning point, and then it faded away. You know, the Pacers need this to hold, but he certainly has demanded attention with the way he's played recently, and it's not just the Jarris show. 30 minutes and 30 seconds of playing time for one Johnny Furphy, who played more than that in that game in Cleveland last year, so this was not a career high in minutes for him, but this is a career high in real, actual, meaningful minutes for Johnny Furphy, who is earning them. And I don't know how many people remember this. If you're an everyday or you listen to every show, you certainly do. Eddie Garrison and I did a podcast right around the time Furphy came back from his injury in early December. And I asked him, what do you want to, Furphy's going to play now. What do you want to see from him? Besides, and he answered with like him being on the court, and that's true. But like specific skill-wise, we both were kind of like anything that is a guarantee that when the Pacers are good or competitive or trying to be again, this will get Johnny Furphy on the floor because the coaching staff loves him. His teammates love him. They believe in his work ethic and his tenacity and the way he plays. But what are you going to do? Like, you can't just play hard and all of a sudden you're a top 10 rotation player for a good team. You have to do something, right? You have to do something. And it could have been, we were wondering, could it be his defense? Like, he's been good on defense at times in the past. His rebounding has been a really good thing. As a rookie, his rebound rate was awesome. Right? He's really got a nose for the ball. Can he actually shoot threes? Is that can be the thing? Right? His shot is pretty inconsistent, but it does go in sometimes. And this game showed all of the pops of what the Johnny Furphy experience could be. 11 rebounds. If he's close, somehow it feels like he's taller than his matchup, even when he's not. Like, he just explodes up for a rebound. Whenever I think about a guy exploding off the floor, I think of guys dunking, Quentin Jackson, Obi Toppin, somebody who just like, it looks like there's springs in their shoes and they just shoot up off of wood and then they're at the basket and they can dunk. Johnny Furphy's like that with rebounding. Like, he's entangled with another player. It feels like that person should be like holding him down and that guy might be taunting him. And then all of a sudden Furphy's arms are the highest one in the scrum and he's got his hands on it, or he's typically something else. He's a great rebounder for a wing. 11 in this game, his first double-digit rebound game as a pro. For a game where rebounding was a focus negative for the Pacers, Johnny Furphy was the only guy who you could, pun intended, say rose above. And Aaron Nesmith had a nice rebounding game too. Nobody besides Nesmith, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Nesmith and Furphy had 19 of the Pacers' 32 rebounds. That's like unacceptable for the rest of the players. But that was very good for Johnny Furphy. A monster on the glass. And that was not even close to the only things he did, right? My first note from the game is if Furphy's going to do one thing, it's get his hands on a rebound. He got switched on to Darius Garland for a first quarter defensive rep and was perfect. Shuffle the feet, hands are out but not fouling, stayed with him, forced a miss. Awesome stuff. He's done that against Zach LaVine. He's done it against Garland. That has been the thing. If you had to point to one side of the floor thing that has been Johnny Furphy's, this will get you on the floor if the Pacers want you to be a rotation player soon kind of thing, it's definitely the defense. He's got a good combo of foot speed and physicality without fouling to stay in front of guys. And he's bulkier now than he was as a rookie. He's still got, work to do in that department, but that was an awesome possession. And then of course, all the fun Furphy stuff, flying ahead in transition for a dunk, another awesome finish around the basket. And I think of his made shots, he made a three. The three other ones, two of them were just someone drives, and at the right moment, Johnny Furphy slashes into the paint and is like a safety valve slasher who's there for a layup while someone else is completely cut off and does not have a finish available to them. And he finished both of them. That's huge. That's a big thing for the Pacers offense. They won the last game they won. They beat the Kings and the Bulls right before that. And I had my notes at the time. Something that feels better about the Pacers right now is their timing of their cuts. Ben Mathurin was crushing this. Right. And that's when their offense feels the best because nothing ever dies. If you drive and you get cut off and you have to reset the play, but you have this option of hitting a well-timed cut, the offense looks good because someone's open around the basket still. They had that going, especially with Johnny Furphy in this game. The young guys being better was important. And Ben Shepherd continues, by the way, to look pretty good. He went 2 for 2 from deep in this game for 6 points. all the young guys that they're hoping pop and they can evaluate were pretty dang good in their minutes in this game. And so, again, they lose. That's obviously disheartening. They've lost 13 games in a row. But if you're asking the question, and I have it on the graphic of like, where's this going, right? They're 6-31. It's the worst record. They're not making the playoffs, right? This is the type of stuff you want to see. This is exactly what they should hope is a takeaway every game. And I'm getting to the point, I don't know how many of you who currently are listening listen to Summer League podcasts that I do. In Summer League, I don't do game notes where I talk, like write notes about the game. I just type down all the key players, and then I write in columns like stuff that happens with them throughout the game. At some point in the Pacers season, I'm going to do that. And that is because that should be the focus. And tonight, in a loss where there's so many disheartening things in the terrible fourth quarter, the young guys were all effective in a way that the Pacers could hope would translate to, should they still be on the team next year, actual production for the next version of the Pacers. That was good. And that also would go into the best blown loss of the season category, if there is such a thing. So many more things to get to from this notebook. Siakam, aggressive, a switch at the center starter, Aaron Nesmith, fun. Some other signs that this game was going the wrong way. Ethan Thompson back in the rotation. We'll get to all of that to finish up today's Locked On Pacers. But first, everybody, I got to tell you about two wonderful groups of people. First up, Rocket Money. Let's be real. Managing your finances can feel overwhelming between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month. It's easy to feel like you are losing control. And who has time to check every transaction or hunt down hidden fees? That's where Rocket Money comes in, the personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. You can discover all sorts of subscriptions or hidden fees, and Rocket Money will show them to you, things that you forgot about, and save you money. They can track all them down, cancel them right in the app with just a few taps. They have automatic transaction categorization, setting budgets and goals, personalized insights, even consolidate your checking, savings, loans, and investments into a single dashboard. So let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. And one more time, it's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Let me also talk to you guys about Prize Picks. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or jumping into player projections for the first time, try something new. It can feel like a challenge, but with Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure football matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never slows down, and Prize Picks lets you stay in control. It's the daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even more exciting by letting you build lineups based on player projections. No drafts, no waiting. Just pick more or less and walk away. Super quick and simple to get started. The app is easy to navigate. It makes watching games more engaging, especially when you follow individual player performances. The flexibility with options like Flex Play, where you can still get paid even if one pick misses, and their early payouts features are game changers. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. We're back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making this your first listen today and every single day. Your second listen, Locked On Hawks. Trae Young is maybe on the move. Woo-wee. What is going on? Does he have any trade value? What should the Hawks do? Brad Rowland will have much more. I'm very invested in that as somebody who is maybe falsely now with the way the NBA is trending, still higher on Trae Young, it feels like, than the average fan of the NBA. But I get it. I do completely understand how this situation got to this point. All right, let's run through a bunch of stuff. There was, despite the signs of good play and the Pacers being at 9 for 3 quarters, there was a lot of stuff throughout the game that I noted that was like, maybe this is a little bit flimsy of a lead. Like they lost their second quarter lead, for example. They were up 1 at one point. Their defense was costly. The Cavs were hot from deep. Like that could happen anytime. Sam Merrill can just get going. Darius Garland can just get going. But what felt off to me were a few things. One is it felt like the Pacers had too much dribbling from the wrong guys a lot of times in this game. Ethan Thompson, who can do some things, especially defensively, a little too much dribbling. Ben Shepherd, too much dribbling sometimes. Jarvis Walker, despite playing a good game, I feel like he's dribbling too much sometimes. TJ McConnell, for all the great things he does getting in the paint, he had one of my least favorite TJ McConnell possessions in this game where he dribbles into the paint. There's nothing, and he dribbles across the lane, and now he's in the left wing, and then he tries to attack again. And there's 6 on the shot clock all of a sudden, and he has not passed the ball one time. It's like, is that really what they wanted that possession to look like? Too much initiating from the wrong guys. Keep it moving, get it to your teammate, pass, cut, etc. That always looks and feels better for everyone. And then they were holding the lead with just weak grips, like some bad shots when they were up 5. The Cavs are ripping the nets. Like, can they just – it felt like their momentum was very tenuous, and it was. Okay, The starting center switched. Jay Huff back in the starting five. Rick Carlisle clarifying postgame. That was done with matchups in mind. That does make good sense for all the things Micah Potter has done and can do. And by the way, he played fine enough in this game. Maybe not awesome. Micah Potter's first half, not good. Second half, very good. I would say it's basically a lock. He doesn't get cut tomorrow. We'll talk about that tomorrow. John Washburn and I recorded yesterday before Tony Bradley got waived. I predicted that a center would get waived. At the first, I thought it'd be Potter. Then I thought it'd be Bradley. We'll talk about all that tomorrow because there could be more layers to this that the rest of the guarantee deadline will reveal. Anyway, Jay Huff started. The matchups made sense. They need more length and size and height against the likes of Jared Allen and Evan Mobley in that starting five, and Jay Huff gives them that. And Jay Huff was awesome in this game. He hit a corner three, and that's generally a good sign for him because he is a good enough shooter at the five. But if you look at his career splits, he's not been a good corner shooter. He's a much better and more comfortable above the break shooter. But once he hit the corner three, you could tell it was going to be a confident night for him. 4 for 7 from deep, a massive, massive boost for a team completely missing everything from him. And he made all 3 of his 2-point shots, which has been a big boon for this team recently. 20 points, that was great. That made the Pacers offense way more potent. They had more spacing. A lot of teams suddenly get more scared of him when he makes a few, and just some comical dunks. A backwards dunk where I don't even know how he contorted his arm backwards above his head. It was awesome. And then he had a 360 dunk right after that. He bounced in a 3. The bench was popping up every time he did anything. He was such an energy giver with the way he was playing in this game. Really fun stuff from Jay Huff. In this one, they need him to do more of that, right? Even if he goes back to the bench against massive matchups, when they play the Hornets, he might, for example, not be needed to start. They need him to do at least somewhat closer to that. He was good in Orlando too. So that's 2 good games in a row for Jay Huff. And he did acknowledge post-game when I asked him, he does know he has not been playing particularly well. He also, though, for example, Jared Allen catches in the lane. He's being guarded by Huff. And one big drop step and dribble from Jared Allen, he's created a half-step advantage. Jay Huff is slow, right? He does have his limitations that are shown fairly often. Micah Potter's first stint with the bench, right, was like I mentioned, was just not very good, and it felt very odd. He's very rarely poor, but his first half stint for Potter, 1 for 3 from the field, 2 fouls. He wasn't quite up to, he hadn't played with the bench in a bit. He obviously did come off the bench at first, but the second half he was way better. Made his only shot, got to the line a few times. His defense was way more effective. I think that's reasonable to expect kind of stuff from him, but tale of 2 games from him. Aaron Nesmith, first of all, this was a funny play. Aaron Nesmith finishes this game with 14 points on 5 for 17 shooting. One of his 2 made 2s was actually Jalen Tyson own goaling for the Cavs. Aaron Nesmith's 3 looks gorgeous right now. His jumper looks awesome. He's on fire from deep, 3 for 7 in this game, but a little too much 2s. He went 2 for 10, including the own goal, so 1 for 9 on his own attempts on 2s. He shot under 30% from the field in this game, despite going 3 for 7 from deep. 4 assists, 8 rebounds, ball to the wall play all the time, 14 points. I'm not trying to be critical of Aaron Nesmith. He was awesome scoring, but there's a little balance thing he needs to figure out, or just making the shots. I know he can make these. I've seen him do it, but he did not make them in this game. Ethan Thompson in the rotation is the 10th guy in this one. No Ben Mathurin, obviously, and then Cam Jones didn't play. They went to Ethan Thompson instead. They needed the wing defense, given, again, this Cavs team was Garland and a bunch of huge dudes, right? A bunch of huge dudes. Maybe they could have gone to Cam Jones, but they went to Ethan Thompson as the 10th guy. He played 8 minutes and 44 seconds. In a vacuum, Cam Jones should absolutely be playing. Ethan Thompson goes 1 for 3. His offense was not very effective. His defense was quite effective, and that helped the Pacers hang on to their lead just enough in his minutes. The last note from this game, Pascal Siakam was just so aggressive, and I loved it. It was so fun to watch. He ends with an inefficient night. He was 22 points on 23 shots. He only took 1 3. He was really and at times, honestly, too fearless going at Evan Mobley, the defensive player of the year. Maybe don't do it as often as he did. I'm not going to tell Pascal Siakam how to play, obviously. But if he plays like that against not Evan Mobley, he's going to look awesome. He was going right at the rim, fearless, attacking. When a smaller was on him quick, he was the right amount of patience to see if and when they were doubling. The Cavs were trying to mix up coverages. I absolutely loved his approach to scoring in this game. 22 2-point shots. And he missed some layups that he, of course, can make. If he made them, they would have won the game. But if he plays that way, result regardless, I think he and the team and the fans will be happy with that, right? And it was a very interesting, aggressive level performance from him that was noticeable to me, especially very early and very late in the game. And yet here the Pacers are 6-31. I can't even believe I'm saying that. out loud. 6-31. The Wizards won again. They blew out. They were up big and then barely won, but they beat the Magic in this game. So I don't know who won Kings. It appears the Mavs beat the Kings. The Pacers could win 4 games in a row and still have the tied for the top lottery odds. Like, that's how poor their record is right now. Keep that in mind as you kind of assess how they approach this. And they have not won a game in a month. We'll see when their next one comes. They play the Hornets next tomorrow. TBD on a guest. I need to talk about the moves they made, and just given the way that the league is going to have a lot of cuts, I might do that recording later in the day. I don't want to make anybody stay up late for me, but I do apologize. Only 2 guests in 2 weeks is embarrassing. And then we'll talk Pacers Hornets together Friday, getting back into the regular rhythm of these games as the Pacers continue to lose. We'll be back tomorrow talking more Pacers. Till then, you can find me on social media at Tony Ariste. I have a really fun story coming out about this team tomorrow. And this podcast is on social media at Locked On Pacers. Thank you all so much for listening today. We will see you very soon.